Retention and disposal of document is what we will be discussing in today's video. Remember the requirements of retentions, why the records are to be produced. They are to be received from any agent or by any agent, from any employees or by any employees, because it is the property of the company. You remember this as the company property. Record in your units should be stored in a secured location of your unit. So what does this mean? Records are any material that are part of a contract or binding agreement. Our accounts of receipts and expenditure of fund contain facts concerning administrative decisions needed for immediately day-to-day functions, indicate a formal approval or denial of some services. A decision, policy decision was intentionally created and collected as an evidence to be legally enforceable rights or obligation, represent an official activities or position of the company, or has a clearly defined historical or implicit value thereby. So what are we looking into it? We are talking about the retention requirement, records that are produced or received by any agents or employees of the university during the course of the university. Businesses are considered the company's property. You need to understand the record, I repeat, records that are produced or received by any agent or employees of the company during the course of the company businesses are considered company's property. As company's property, record in your unit should be stored in a secure location within your unit. So what does this mean? Records are any material or a part of a contract or a binding agreement or accounts for the receipt of expenditure of funds, contains facts concerning administrative decisions needed for immediate day-to-day functioning, indicates a formal approval or a denial of some services, or some policy decision was intentionally created, perhaps to collect as evidence of legally enforceable rights and obligation, representing the official actions or position of the company and has clearly identified as the historical or archival value. Retention requirement records are material that have been identified the record liaison as being the business input and output of their office. Retention requirements records are any material that are part of a contract or binding agreement are accounts for the receipt of expenditure of funds containing facts concerning administration decisions needed for immediate day-to-day functions, indicate formal approval or denial of some services, action, or policy decision was intentionally created or collected as an evidence for legally enforceable rights or obligation, representing an official actions or position of the university, or has clearly identified historical or archival values thereby. So the rough and the ready definitions of record could be said as: will I be reprimanded if I destroy such an item, such a record? Please note that this is not broadly accepted definition, but it is more or less applicable. Archival transfer requirements. The company archives retains company records that are inactive and have an historical significance. These inactive records are retained in order to preserve the information contained in them for future research or study. If you're not sure whether your unit record would be appropriate for the transfer to the company's archives, contact the records and information services to help identify the records that have long-term value or enduring value. Paper records should be transferred in order in which they are created and stored in your unit and must be included as an electronic list indicating folders titles of materials to be transferred along with data range of material in each folders. Electronic records are also accepted by the company archives, but they need to be converted into the standard format first. The State Records Act says that you need to obtain permission to dispose of the company's records prior to their disposal. The State Record Commission must approve the disposal of any company record. Approval of the disposal of company record is to be coordinated by the head office. Permission is not required for non-record material, though some non-record material may still contain some sensitive data, therefore requires secure transfer and destruction. Disposal process, you first identify the records for ready for disposal. Second, you talk to the record liaison verifies officers who verifies on behalf of you whether the record can be disposed of or not, and initiate a disposal request to lead to the record liaison. Leads records liaison review, submit their reports to the company altogether. The company submits the request to the state record commissions and the state record commission approves the disposal. Last but not the least, the sixth step is the record liaison makes arrangements to properly dispose of the record. So when should the record be disposed of? It should be done on a regular basis if your company has an established rule for it. So employees notify the unit records, let's say in March 1, and this is just a sample thing for you to understand, which the record official should notify them within 2 weeks time. Probably in another 10 days time, the record liaison reviews and submit the request to the company. The company will submit the request to the state record commission or the top management, who in turn would approve the disposal of. And this is how it is roughly coming up in. This is the time span that goes around. So you take approximately 3 to 4 months to get the from initiation of record disposal request to the actual disposal altogether. So when should the record be disposed of? It should be disposed of whenever it meets any of the criteria, any one of the six criteria. They are needed for financial and performances audit. Remember, they should not be disposed of. They are needed for financial and performance audit. You cannot dispose those records. They are relevant to existing, pending, and future legal proceeding. Again, not to be disputed. If there are any disputes around it, never dispose any such record. Relevant request for information under the Freedoms of Information Act, the right to no right to information. They are still in retention period specified by unit plan. They have historical significance, probably even enduring values thereby. So if records have passed the appropriate retention period, there are no proceeding, litigation, request, or information affecting the record. You may initiate the disposal request as on when on basis. Disposing the paper record with the sensitive information. Any paper record containing sensitive information such as the social security number, your unique identification number, your bank account number, any information related to you as a person, your credit card number must be disposed of by one of those following secure methods. Secure transfer material to a campus, recycling facility via monitored pickup or a lock-in container. Work with an approved vendors. Use a cross-cut shredder to shred the material that are in place in your office company cycle. If required, burn them off. Records on paper that do not contain sensitive information can be disposed of very easily as you are disposing any kind of paper. Use any of the following. Place the records in the recycling bin. Contact your campus recycling facility for a pickup and thereby work with an approved vendors who will ensure that there is a proper disposal of the material. Last but not the least would be electronic records. And how do you get disposed of? Electronic records should be purged with disposal when disposal has been approved. If you have the access permission to do so, delete the record yourself. If you do not have the access permission, ask the appropriate or the administration in your department to delete them and follow up with the person to ensure that the records have been deleted. If electronic record contains sensitive information, consult the lead record liaison or your unit IT support staff to make sure that they have appropriately and completely purged all the system. With this, I come to an end of this video. Thank you for watching this video till the end.